All right, welcome back. Now, we've been talking about the financial sector and, of course, the role of fintechs. And now that we have quite a number cropping up, what is the regulation side of things? So that is the conversation that we'll be having this morning, just for you to be in the know and to get to understand, because we're in a decade of exponential financial inclusion. That has been a conversation not just for Uganda, but as a continent. And of course, the emergence of increasing dominance of mobile money in Uganda, that's what you can all relate to, resulted in the unavoidable deepening of digital financial services right here in the country. But as fintech moves beyond basic USSD code, yes, who regulates this particular players, and do Ugandans have a voice in all this? Matters regulation. So to break down that conversation for you and I to understand, and also to just stay safe in this particular space, I'm joined in studios by Mr. Brian Kalule. He is a secretary, of course, of the Financial Technology Services Providers Association of Uganda, what we all know as FITSPA. He's also a lawyer.
Oh.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So just for a Ugandan who's jumping on board and interfacing with this tech word, fintech. What's a fintech?
Oh, thank you. Fintech is actually the short form of financial technology, and it encompasses all sorts of technologies that are used to provide financial services. So for the Ugandan, the normal Ugandan, something they well know is mobile money. So it includes things like mobile money. It includes cryptocurrencies. Yes. They have their issues, but yeah, they fall under fintechs. It includes credit cards, debit cards, Visa payments, online banking. It includes apps that are used to accept mobile payments. So all those technologies that facilitate mobile services fall under fintechs.
All right. You know, you spoke of cryptocurrencies, and of course you're going to go into the safety conversation. But then why is regulation so key in this day and era, especially now that cryptocurrency is the big conversation? I think it's the hot conversation in this particular space. Just a few days ago in the newspapers, we were interfacing with a big headliner where we had quite a number of Ugandans who were, defrauded in this particular space. Swindled, so to speak, if you'd like to call it that. And I think it boils down to the conversation of regulation. So how bad is it on ground? Well,
I think the issue is more than just cryptocurrencies, but fintech generally. You know, it involves money, but there's transfer of value of money. So there are people who always want to take advantage of that and cheat. I mean, it's who we are. It's how human beings are wired. So you always look to make that extra buck of naive people, ignorant people. So the biggest risk we have in fintechs and cryptocurrencies in particular is fraud. Then there are issues with anti-money laundering, and then there are issues with using the systems to fund criminal activity and terrorism and financial terrorism.
Right.
Then there's also a systemic risk. I mean, there's a lot of money that moves through these systems. The last time I read, I think 30% of Uganda's GDP moves through the mobile money network. So where does that fit into the broader monetary policy? So there's systemic risk. And those are the things that need to be regulated. Then there are also data breaches, security, data and privacy issues. I mean, you give people your information when you're signing up, say, for mobile money. You don't know what they can use it for, and they can use it to cheat people, and we've seen this happen. So there is an urgent need to address some of these issues.
But are we saying that we lack regulation completely? And if we don't, where are the gaps and what can be done to quickly fix those?
Well, I think what I can say is that there's no comprehensive regulation. We have some semblance of regulation, and there is, for instance, the mobile money guidelines.
Yes.
But as the name states, they are really guidelines. So in law, if it's a guideline, then I'm not obliged to follow it. So they have no legal force. And then also they only cover a small component of fintechs. It's mobile money, but as I told you earlier, it's much wider. It includes cryptos, it includes online banking, online lending, crowdfunding. So all the things are not covered by mobile money guidelines. Then recently, sometime last year, the UCC introduced what it calls the Digital Financial Services License. But it's a new thing. It's not yet been tested. Actually, it's still in transition period. People haven't really started applying for it. But we don't know what its scope is. Who is a digital service, financial services provider? So it's not very elaborate. So and again, it wouldn't be wide enough to cover all sorts of things. So as we speak, there isn't a comprehensive regulation. But there is hope. As always, there is always hope. The Bank of Uganda has drafted the National Payment Systems Bill. It's still a bill. Actually, it's up for discussion in Parliament. And it will regulate all payment systems. Anybody who falls under payment system, if you're an agent, you send money, you have a platform of sending money. If you facilitate payment in any debit cards, Visa cards, payment cards, online, anything that does with payments, then you will be regulated under that.
Any indications on when that will actually, take course? Because I know as an association you're pushing for regulation. Of course, for them that are genuine in this particular space to cushion themselves and also to gain, an assurance and confidence from their clientele. So when you're pushing for some of these regulations to be put in place, where are you hitting a snag, and where would you say the challenge is? Is it that government is not seeing the need of fast-tracking some of these things, yet it's already a booming space?
It is. Actually, the biggest challenge we face is Parliament. The process of lawmaking is very slow in this part of the world. It's very slow, but we are very hopeful. We think by the end of this year, probably it will be in force. But we are not seated. We are just not looking at the Fintech, the payment systems bill only. We're also trying to develop a code of conduct for the market. It's a bit independent of the law. And what we are trying to do with that is create basic values, a basic code of conduct, systems and expectations of the players. Now, this is an independent initiative.
As an association.
As an association. So what we are doing, and the reason is simple. Most times, and I'm a lawyer and I'll tell you that having a law itself is not enough most times. The people should buy in. And even if there is a law that says you're protected, if the public doesn't have confidence in a sector, then it will never work.
Right.
So we are trying to create a highest set of ethics by which members will behave, will conduct business among themselves, again, with stakeholders, and with the public, so that we build that confidence you talked about.
Yeah, that is a push for members of the association. Are you scared that the non-members who are, not genuine, not so genuine? Of course, when we're having such headlines of people who have been swindled, it shows that there are quite a number of players who are not, a party to some of these associations and have ill intentions, so to speak. So as an association, are you worried in the absence of such regulations, as you are as an association are trying to push to better yourselves through some of this code of conduct? Are you worried that the non-association members or the non-players in this code of conduct thing will water down your genuine business, so to speak, and make Ugandans wary of that particular space, especially when this online banking thing, fintech space came in? Quite a number was still skeptical, saying that I'd rather put make money in the envelope, give a bus conductor who will be going to the village to take it to my mom, for example. So are you worried that some of this unscrupulous dealers or players in this particular sector will water down some of these efforts that you're making as an association? Actually,
the biggest incentive for coming up with a thing like this was to try to combat people like that. We realized that actually they were taking advantage of the public, and most of them think, well, we didn't want all to be put in the same bracket, that all these guys are cheats, all these guys they do business, unethical business. So we try to come up with a code of conduct and have registered membership who operate by the rules, who do business by the rules. Now, and those who don't, then we shall have a sort of blacklist where I would say these people don't abide by the code of conduct. They are not members of FITSPA, and don't deal with them.
Okay.
Yes.
So at least you'll have a blacklist kind
Absolutely.
of thing.
Yes.
And for the members that, of course, abide by all this, do you have any sign or symbol of recognition that, for example, if I walk into your store or your office as a fintech company, I'm able to say that once I see that particular logo or that mark, that means that you're a member of this particular association. That means that I should have some level of confidence with you and my money.
Well, we at the moment we are trying to they are registered members first of all, and then we want to publicize that list in different ways, and obviously there will be certificates issued, and if somebody walks into your shop, into your office, and they see that, then they'll have that confidence, and the confidence, of course, will also assure them that these guys operate by the code of conduct. Right. They play by the book. They operate transparently, ethically, and they uphold the basic values of FITSPA.
Okay, so yes. It's work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
In the meantime, can I log in and maybe verify a player?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so how do we go about that? Is there a website or something?
Yeah, there is a website for FITSPA. You just, Google is a very easy way.
And you get it.
It's a very easy way to find it. You just put in FITSPA and it will link you there.
And I'll be able to see the players,
absolutely.
The members of the
association.
They're
registered members.
Yeah. All right, good enough. Now, you guys can do your bits. Government can wake up and do its bit. But if we're not enlightened and, sensitized as the customers or potential customers, then we are at high risk of being swindled, or taken advantage of, so to speak.
Yes, that's true.
So how do I go about, I think, top 5, kind of security measures, personal security measures that we can always embrace whenever, transacting on these particular spaces or engaging in some of these spaces, because this is our hard-earned cash. What should I do? What should I do to make sure that my money is actually safe?
So I think the most important thing to do is deal with and when the regulation comes, there will be licensing. There will be a need for licensing. So you'll have to deal with licensed entities. And of course, the beauty of the regulation is if I get a license, then you're supposed to comply with certain things. You're supposed to have a payment system in place and you're supposed to dispense money within certain timelines. You're supposed to have a dispute resolution mechanisms. I mean, if somebody has a complaint, what's their recourse? Where do they go? You hear people saying, I sent the money, but it didn't reach. I mean, in such a situation, where do I go? So a licensed entity will have measures in place for all those eventualities. So the first thing to do, you'll have to deal with licensed entities. Okay. And then you be vigilant. You don't... when you're dealing with money online, you always have a code, a personal code, a PIN. Just don't give it out recklessly. You be vigilant with it. Don't just respond to any invitation to share your PIN. I think those are the 2 basic ways in which you can protect yourself.
Right. So make sure that your PIN is secured and that you're dealing with a licensed entity.
Entities.
Okay.
In this case, with registered members of FITSPA.
Because that is yet to come.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for coming through. I think parting shot for the viewers, of course, come to is yours. Just speak directly to them, especially on that safety caveat. If you can now just take off your hat and talk as a customer as well, because you're also a customer. You transact on this particular spaces.
Definitely.
Just share some, nuggets of wisdom to the viewers this morning. Come to.
Thank you. So fintech is the way to go. That's where the world is going. The cost, it has lowered the cost of transacting in money tremendously, and it is also very convenient.
Right.
But of course, with innovation, there are risks. There are people always looking to cheat. So just be vigilant with your PIN codes, and then make sure that you deal with licensed entities, or in this case with recognized members of FITSPA. Okay. So in that way you'll be secure in your dealings.
All right. So top 2. And it is. Okay. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming
You're
through.
welcome. Thank you for
I
hosting me
think
too.
final, I'm always looking out for entrepreneurs who want to get into the space. Can they also, you know, plug in to fintech, and maybe do you have a mentorship kind of program at the association for them that want to come on board?
Actually, yes, we do. When you go through it, it's quite a big list of the members. There are about 200, but most of them are really small entities.
Okay.
And we're bringing them on board and trying to show them the ropes and trying to expose them to and see how they can scale their businesses. So it will be helpful if they can visit us at our offices in Tinda,
Okay.
and we take them through the things.
All right. Thank you so much for coming through. Brian Kalule, Secretary of the Financial Technology Services Providers Association of Uganda. That's a FITSPA. Yes, you've heard it. Make sure that you play your part really well on safeguarding yourself, with regards to safeguarding yourself on the online space, with regards to your hard-earned cash, guys. All right, of course, as they're trying to make sure that they iron some of these gaps, and government does its part as well. Keep your views coming. #morning@NTV. You can also tag them directly. They're also on social media for you to ask those questions, and they'll be able to answer them. All right, well, we have to take another break. We'll be back with some love conversation. Stay with us.